we are to discuss or examine introduction to social services for the semester. The course generally introduce you to the structure, roles, uh, and other key practices of social services in Nigeria. It covers the social welfare ecosystem in Nigeria. We are talking about the governments, non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations, and other communities that have been able to provide services for their people. Uh, Irrespective of the services provided, there are core areas of social service or social welfare in every society of the world. What we are doing right now is a general summary of the entire course. Please, if you can hear me clearly, I would like you to always signify. And please, coming in, kindly do the needful. There is a pattern for us to drop our attendance, and especially for those who are online. Please, those who are not with us should not try to, drop the attendance with us, please. Uh, like I said earlier on, there are core and critical areas of social services in Nigeria. And this includes child protection, family support, poverty, livelihoods, disability inclusion, and protection of people from violence that have bewildered every societies of the world. Uh, there are also ethical, legal, and practical foundations for service delivery in Nigeria. Um, it is also expected that as a student of social service or social welfare, this course will help you develop basic case support referral skills that are commonly used in social work. Uh, by the end of the course or by the end of the semester, everybody, Rita, Cecilia said, what is the topic? We are doing a general, I'm introducing the course outline for social service to you before we start our lecture in details. Number one, please, as you're coming in, kindly drop your attendance online, please. Uh, by the end of the course, or possibly by the end of the semester, all of us should be able to, one, explain the meaning, scope, and purpose of social services or welfare in Nigeria. Two, we should also be able to identify the major actors and how these services are coordinated across levels of government and non-governmental organizations. Um, Three, we should also be able to describe the core service areas, common interventions that are used in Nigeria in solving some of these social problems. 4, we should be able to apply basic ethical principles. Basic ethical principles in the sense that there are ethical guidelines for the provision of social service or welfare in Nigeria. So we should be able to apply the basic principles, confidentiality standards, and safety practices for the people. At the end of the day, we should also be able to use a simple approach to assessment. We should be able to support planning, documentation, and referrals. And lastly, we should be able to recognize relevant national frameworks and common compliances that are expected for social service works. For those who may come after the lecture dropping the attendance, I think that's not going to work, because I'm practically taking notes and writing down the attendance of those who are presently online with us. As the attendants are popping up, I'm practically taking them down, because I quite understand that most people would want to benefit from where they did not sow. So that practically will not stand. 377. So 4189. Please do not use same account to drop reg number for people. I please who are online with us are benefiting from our attendance. Like I was saying, the first topic we are going to examine for the semester is the foundation of social service in Nigeria. Under the foundation of social service in Nigeria, we'll look at the history and evolution of social service in Nigeria generally. And most of us already understand that Africa generally is a communal society where people put in support for one another anytime they need each other's assistance. But because of globalization, because of modernization, and because of civilization, these supports are gradually metamorphosing into institutional support. In the definition of social service, there is a residual definition of social service, and there is an institutional definition of social service. Residual takes possibly care of those who are at the bottom layer of needs in the society. Institutional is far bigger because it benefits every member of the society. It is institutional. There is no disparity as regards to who benefit from it and who do not benefit from it. Now, we are going to examine the history and evolution of social service, like I said. Then we are equally going to examine social problems and social needs in Nigerian communities. Social problems are problems that emanate within the society and at the same time as adverse effects on members of the society at large. Every society of the world is bewildered by one or two social problems, but the problems differ, varies based on the nature and composition of the societies we find ourselves. So we are going to look at social problems and social needs in Nigerian community. What exactly is the pattern of the services that are to be provided? We will move further by examining the role of social workers, volunteers, support, advocacy, and prevention activities geared towards the provision of social welfare or services in Nigeria. Then we should also be able to do a kind of community mapping exercise. We are going to take examples from your own community, that's your own local areas service landscape. We'll be looking at that. Then topic 2 is going to be Nigeria's social welfare ecosystem. When we say Nigeria's social welfare ecosystem, we are basically referring to the actors and coordinators, or let me say actors and coordination of social services in Nigeria. Under this, the key topics include government structures. We'll examine how government structures over the years have been able to provide services from the people. We'll look at it from the federal level to the state level to local responsibilities. You and I are very aware and very familiar with the nature, pattern, and composition of how governance works in Nigeria. It is from the top to the bottom, which implies from the federal to state and to the local government. Then we're also going to examine the functions of ministries, departments, agencies that are relevant to social protection. For instance, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is one of the key agencies and the government ministries in charge of social service provision. And we'll also look at the roles of non-governmental organizations, because non-governmental organizations over the years have been of great support in the provision of social services. A good example of some of these non-governmental organizations is the Red Cross. They are always at the forefront. They can always be found in places that are bewildered, places that are faced with all sort of problems in Nigeria. We are also going to look at civil societies. They are also at the forefront of fighting for the betterment of the society. Then also faith-based organizations. We have seen churches, religious institutions, mosques providing social services for the people. Someone said, please, the topic again. We are having a general overview of what the course is all about. The course is sub 206, Introduction to Social Services in Nigeria. We'll be looking critically into the roles of non-governmental organizations, civil societies, faith-based organizations, and other community structures that have been put in place to provide social services for the people. Then there is a stakeholder diagram that we are going to examine. The question is, who does what? Why do they do it? At what point do they come in to support the people? Okay. I think Victory Oni has a special badge. David Edet has a special badge, and Rita Cecilia has a special badge because they are part of the people who are always uh, frequent in class. The system is actually taking cognizance of those who come for lecture and those who do not come for lecture. But one thing I can assure us is that there is always a reward and punishment from every act. So, in a class of about two plus, like, well, we're making progress. We're making progress. Then, the next topic we're going to examine for the semester is protection and family support. Because in every problem, children are one of the most vulnerable people. It is expected that children and women deserve some level of pity when problem arises. So it is important we examine the child protection and family support. Under this larger topic, we'll be looking at other subtopics like the child vulnerability risk. Under child vulnerability risk, we'll be looking at child neglect. Why do people neglect children? We'll be looking at child abuse. Why are children being abused? We'll also be looking at child exploitation. Why do people continue to exploit children? And we will also look at the trafficking indicators. The trafficking indicators, because in recent times we have recorded a whole lot of cases of child trafficking, children being migrated forcefully, out of their comfort zones. Some are at the end of the day being sold out as prostitutes in some countries or even within Nigeria. Then the next thing we'll examine is the family strengthening and parenting support basics. We have said it times without number that the family is the bedrock of every society. The family provides the essential services that a child needs to socialize into a lifelong organism that will shape both social behavior and some forms of biological, attitudes. There are best practices guiding child protection and family support, and the best practices involves safeguarding them, reporting issues that has to do with violation of children's rights, and some forms of follow-up support activities. You don't just say you have supported children without following up what they're up to. Please, as we move forward, it costs people nothing to quick to help us like the lecture and possibly share on other platforms so that for people who are not with us to be part of us. Sociology is the scientific study of human behavior and the society. Whether you are in the sciences, natural science, social science, or all sorts of sciences, one thing is important. Sociology is the father of all sciences, whether social or natural sciences. So it is advisable you help us share on other platforms so that those who are not part of us can always meet up and listen to our lectures. The essence of this is to get a great message. Like the lecture, ignore the messenger, and just get the message. Then we, as we move further in the semester, we'll be looking at core service areas. What are the various areas where we even need these services in Nigeria? We have been saying, perhaps he said, so what was the fourth topic? I said family Uh, the third topic is child protection and family support. And under that, we discuss about the child vulnerability, which includes risk, neglect, abuse, trafficking, and other forms of exploitation. Then I made mention of family strengthening and parenting support basics. Then also I made mention of best practice, how to safeguard, to report ethical issues, and follow up supports to have best practices. So the next thing we'll be looking at is the core service areas. Yes, we need services, but there are core areas where we need these services. Core areas. Number one is poverty. Poverty is a social issue and it has its causes and consequences. Poverty has been one of the major problems we have in this part of the world. People are poor. There are many people who cannot meet up with basic needs on a daily basis. What role has the government played in alleviating poverty? What methods have they been able to put in place to reduce poverty? And what is the efficiency and effectiveness of all the programs that have been put in place to alleviate poverty in uh, in Nigeria? Uh, One of the causes of poverty is corruption. Our leaders are very corrupt to the extent that they do not even care about the masses. In recent times, poverty level has been growing tremendously in the country because there is no basic, you know, policy to alleviate poverty. Poverty continue to increase. The cost of living continue to increase. Even where cost of living continue to increase, there is absolutely no standard of living that commensurates with what people pay to survive in Nigeria. Then in recent times, the government have been able to bring in some social protection programs. And the typical programs include all this issue of cash transfers to vulnerable people. In most instances, in most situations, cash assistance is always rendered, skills, okay, skill acquisition, support services, and the likes. Then we also have basic livelihood support planning principles activities. There is the issue of needs versus wants. So we have to prioritize certain things. Needs versus wants in the sense that there are basic needs. In most situations, our wants are many. Our wants in the sense that you want to build a house, you want to buy a car, you want to live in luxury. You need a lot of things as a human, but what you need is just a little to survive. So that's the concept of needs versus wants. Most of us are carried away by our wants. We are not much concerned about our needs. But what is important is our needs. And that is what I said. Our wants may be many. We want to achieve so many things. But what we need is just a little, to survive. So it is important we take cognizance of the major differences between wants and needs. Then the next topic is core areas 3, disability, inclusion, and older persons. You know, people who live with disability, and they have said it times without number that there is also ability in disability. I quite agree, but most people are not able to do anything once they are disabled. So it is important we understand that there are certain barriers that affect people living with disability and people who are already old. Under the field of sociology under gerontology is also one of the various branches of sociology. As people grow older, they get weak. They cannot continuously uh, provide or get involved in activities that they are known for over the years because of aging. Aging is a compulsory thing for everybody. Whether you like it or not, once you age, once you age, you need to understand that your body system weakens as you age. Your body system weakens as you age. Therefore, it is important you understand that old people can no longer perform certain functions the way they've always performed. We're going to look at disability inclusion. There are certain barriers and inclusion principles, accessibility basics that should be provided for people living with disability and people who are old. Then, services for older persons include social support, some forms of welfare check, community support, etc. Then, we also need to avoid the issue of stigma. We need to start promoting dignity, and we all need to start participating in various activities that will enhance good, or let me say quality existence. As we move on, please, you can always drop your questions in the comment section rather. I will definitely respond as soon as I see your question. So we have to start to promote dignity and participation in what the older generation needs. There are a series of barriers to access to services for older people. In as much as it is a natural phenomenon for people to get old, we also need to get it clear that young people, young children, in every problem, children, women, and older generations, or let me say the aging population, are always one of the vulnerable people in the society. Therefore, it is very crucial that we put into consideration socio-economic solutions that will further enhance quality existence for the older generation. There are also core areas that involves protecting people from violence and harm. Most communities in Nigeria of today are facing serious security problems. The question is now, how do we protect these communities? Violence everywhere. Most of us have villages that we have not been able to visit in the past 10 years because of violent times like terrorism, banditry, ethno-religious crisis, farmers' elder clashes, and the likes. A lot of people have lost their lives. Many are living in palpable fears. Most people have deserted their communities, and it is the duty of the government to protect lives and properties so that these people can go back to their various roads and have a peaceful existence. There are a series of types of violence, or let me say there are types of violence and arms that are relevant to social work. It is very crucial, it is very important that we take our destiny into our hands by making various attempts to solve these problems. The problems are enormous. And it is important that by now we start making efforts to put an end to most of these problems that we are facing today. Then there are safety plannings that are basics. Certain things are basics. There is no point, there is never a reason or rationale to contemplate on doing those things. They are things that are compulsory for us to to do. We work with survivors, we get their consent, confidentiality, and we prioritize their risk. So we also be where the real issue is our practice skills. For the semester, we'll be engaging in the provision of social services, even if even if it is going to be from our personal pockets. We must do something for certain communities that we know are in serious problems, communities that we know lack proper, you know, basic amenities in our own little way. Someone said, how is violence relevant to social work? That's not what I said. I said one of the core areas, one of the topics we are going to examine is how to protect people from violence and harm, and what breeds social service. For example, we cited example of Red Cross. Red Cross goes into communities where there are problems. They go there to provide services. Violence has disrupted the activities of several communities in Nigeria. And in as much as violence is present in those places, it is now relevant. It's a problem under the cost social service, because we must prioritize their welfare. By prioritizing their welfare, we now take into cognizance or into consideration that the violence is affecting services that are to be provided. For instance, if bandits attack a particular village, what they do is to, most situations, they destroy social amenities, they blow power lines, they destroy water drain system by polluting the water. So it is the duty of workers, social workers, to provide some of those things. So under practical skills, we are going to provide a support plan, no matter how small, no matter how little it is. We are going to provide a support plan for people. Then we lastly, for the semester, we'll be looking at ethics, law / political or policy awareness, quality, and accountability. In the next 5 minutes, I'll be rounding off. And throughout the lecture, we did not have more than 90 people who attended the class. This, to me, is not acceptable, because we have over, I think, about 200 people in class. Please, I beg in the name of God, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Nobody is an island of knowledge. The more you learn, the more you know. And we have said it times without number that you have to continue to learn. You have to continue to unlearn. And you have to continue to relearn. Someone said, how can government help in social services to make it affordable and equitable? One of the various ways government make services affordable and equitable is by providing subsidy. But you see, in this part of the world, subsidy amounts to theft. It amounts to stealing. There are always people everywhere who are ready to loot government funds, irrespective of what it is. Even if you are dying and they ask certain people to come and solve your problems by allocating some amount of money to them, you still see what people do with all this money. Please, let's continue to learn. Knowledge is power. Because at the end of the day, you'll be happy with yourselves that yes, you have learned something. And this is the era of technology. Let's adopt technological innovation to advance our learning skills. This is a situation where you just sit in your comfort zone, receive your lecture, take your pen, write down what you can write, and we are good to go. I just wish we continue to learn some of these things, honestly speaking, because the essence of learning is to acquire knowledge. And knowledge, like K. Most Global 24 said, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Yes, Ada Abutu also said, knowledge is power. You can see people are gradually understanding that knowledge is power. It is what you know, you know. What you don't know, you don't know. And it is what you don't know that you try to know. That is why we say you have to continue to learn. When you learn and you discover that you have not learned enough, or the informations you have learned are not adequate enough, you unlearn the information and get adequate information, because knowledge is indeed power. Please, I don't know if we have questions again before we meet physically midweek. So please, is there anything like social services agency? Yes, there are agencies that are shouldered with responsibility of providing social services. And one of such agencies is the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. That is the ministry that is in charge of some of these issues. But every ministry under the federal government provides one or two services. The Federal Ministry of Power provides electricity. The Federal Ministry of Finance provides finance. The Federal Ministry of this, the Federal Ministry of that. They are all providing certain services for the betterment of the society. So, in the beginning of our class, what we said was that this course is very essential. Michael said knowledge is power, and without knowledge, individuals will be powerless to contribute to the growth of this society. Yeah, that is right. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that your comment, because the comment goes a long way in building knowledge. So it is very important. The course introduces us to the structures, roles, and key practices of social services in Nigeria. It covers the social welfare ecosystem. The social welfare ecosystem includes governments, NGOs, faith-based organizations, and various communities. But there are core areas of services. These core areas are going to be examined on the basis of the problem we have here. The problem we face in Nigeria is different from that of Cameroon. That of Cameroon is different from that of Malaysia. That of Malaysia is different from that of America. Therefore, all these things are going to be examined based on the nature and problems that we face here. So we will go far in developing basic case support and referral skills that are commonly used in social service work. Those who do the work of social service are people we call social workers. They can be found anywhere. In fact, in advanced societies of the world, social workers are placed at higher levels of the society because they do a lot. So please, they agencies check with social services too. Yes, there are agencies, but the effectiveness and the efficiency of the agencies is where the problem lies. It is unfortunate that Nigeria, despite our abundant mineral and natural resources, will continue to wallow in abject poverty. We continue to increase in poverty. Corruption is the order of the day. Greediness is the order of the day. Leadership failure is the order of the day. And blaming leaders. I am here online dedicating my time to teach, but some people are doing nothing and they are not here. The same way Nigerians behave Government provides certain services, you destroy them. Drainages are blocked. It is not the government that is blocking the drainages. It is you and I. Therefore, for change, for Nigeria to be great, for Nigeria to get to where we wish Nigeria gets to, you and I must sit up and do the needful. Yes, we all agree that there is bad leadership. Have we been able to check ourselves, followers? Look at the classrooms where you receive lectures. There are cleaners. These are people's parents. They are paid peanuts. But when you drink your zobo, when you buy your awara, you just eat it with bottle with everything and drop it in the classroom. That is not in any way sensible enough for somebody who wants to do good for his or her own country. At no point in life should you always be so concerned about what your country is going to do for you. A good citizen is that person who always think of what he or she can do for the country, not what the country can do for them. At individual levels, how do we behave? If you are asked to pay for electricity charges, do you pay frequently? Therefore, service provision in Nigeria comes with its own problems. Everybody must sit up to do the needful. If we don't change, then change we shouldn't expect it. God bless you, David, for saying this. If we don't change, then change we should not expect it. We should be the change we want to see. I quite appreciate the way people are engaging, with the way we are engaging ourselves in this lecture. Because until we realize that we have a very big role to play as individuals, then we are definitely not going to get to the promised land. I appreciate everybody that have contributed to the success of this class today. It is my joy. It is the beauty of it that when you teach students, you see them respond and ask questions as regards to what they've been taught. Alimi said, let's all be the agents of change. Yes, please. So, in the absence of no question again, I think we call it a day. For those who are not, someone said, sir, but from your point of view, are the social services in the country thriving? They are not thriving. Victor, they are not thriving because people are not getting exactly what they deserve. Even you as students, look at the classrooms where you learn, look at your hostels. It more or less look like correctional centers. When our leaders were going to school those days, they had free meal. Just about 2 people in a room. Elizabeth Ajako said, change starts with us. Yes, change begins with us. Change begins at individual levels. If we do not change ourselves, there is never a change we should expect. Be the change you want. Excuse me, please. Please, I'm waiting to entertain more questions so that in the next 6 minutes we round off that class. Please, questions, please. I think in the absence of no question, we can call our class. Someone said, how can change begin from us? Olu Shayo Favor. Change will begin from you when you sit down and look at the good things you're doing. Look at the bad things you are doing. The day you realize that those bad things you do have effects, then change begin with you. Yes, Chimeze, the course will be highly impactful for the semester, and I know that we will be fine. Then someone said each person must work on their individual level. Yes, that's it. It begins from individual level. Outside that, there is nothing we can do. Change begins with us when we Perhaps he said change begins with us when you start attending classes. Yes, you are very correct. I think I owe you a bottle of anything for this if you drink anything. So change begins with us when we start attending classes. Yes, you must attend class. If you don't attend class, how will change begin with you? Change takes place only if we are willing to go extra mile. Yes, but at times we need to do the needful. We don't need much to do the needful. What we need is just the little. Uh, please, I'm waiting for questions and general discussion so that we can. To those who are just joining us, I'm sorry, it may be as a result of network, but the lectures are always there for us to revisit anytime we are free. I think this is where we have to stop. Today is a weekend, and I have to enjoy my weekend. And I hope you guys enjoy your weekend too. I wish you all the best till we meet in our physical class. Thank you. Elizabeth said, when we change our mindset, everything falls into place. I think Lizzie is a motivator. She's a motivational speaker. Michael Olooke, congratulations once again. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was able to achieve that with your support and prayers, because no one grows without people helping them. In one way or the other, you guys are all contributed to my growth and my success in life. The consistent teaching, the constant stress, and the enormous stubbornness you guys exhibit has also been able to shape our life. So I thank you very much. Until we meet again online, I wish you all the best.